You see here, hi guys. Well, I'll be telling you a little story of Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood was such a nice little girl. She would bring care packages to old ladies in the woods. And she was always walking around in those woods. And she never felt afraid because she had two things going for her. One was she had a very good friend called Lumberjack, who was always protecting her when necessary. And the second thing is that she had her red cape. Her red cape actually that made her very distinctive, and everybody knew it was Red Riding Hood, also known sometimes as Riding Red. And when she wore that cape, she just felt invulnerable. She felt that nothing could happen to her. Well, one day actually, Granny phoned over, actually, and she said, Red? Yes, Granny? Red, I'm feeling a little bit under today. Could you bring me my care package? Now, Red, also known as Little Red Robin Hood, sometimes, felt like, well, Granny, I really would like to bring you a package, but I'd like to ask you a question first. Yes, dear? Why are you feeling under again? You've been feeling under a lot these days. Have you been having a little bit too much of that hooch again? My dear little Red, why do you think that of your Granny? Well, first off, actually, it's because every time I go over there, you always have me bring back those deposit bottles, and there's always a lot of them. Okay, dear, maybe you're right. Well, anyway, I'm still feeling a bit under, so could you please bring me my usual care package? So, Little Red Riding Hood decided she could do that. Now, as she was walking along, as you know, the woods are not a very safe place for a young girl, and one of the other wolves who was walking along saw Red going on, and she knew she was going into Wolf Major's territory. So he gave a call and he said, Hey, Wolf Major. He says, yeah. Well, he says, your usual prey is coming along, but as I can see, is she's bringing as well a nice package. A really nice package, it seems. You want me to try and take care of Lumberjack so that you can have an easy going at it? Oh, he says, sure, mate, thanks. I'll get right on to it. So Wolf Major goes over, and he runs into Granny's cottage, which actually used to be called the Wolf's Den, but then actually she retired and just became a normal Granny. So having done that, he jumped into the cottage, went through the window. Actually, he didn't have to because the door wasn't locked. But once he was in there, Granny was like kind of stuttering around, and he said to her, "What's up, Gran?" "Oh, geez, it's you again. I've got one of these headaches." "Look, Granny, there's only one way for that." And he grabbed Granny, he put her in the cupboard and gave her a big bottle of red wine, and said, "Granny, if you drink this, your headaches, at least for the next period, is going to go away, and you'll be sleeping it off, and I'll be able to do my job here." Now, the thing is that amongst the wolves, they all wanted to get that red cape, because it somehow would make them feel safe, because they would be able to go through the woods, and people would think, hey, look, there's Riding Red. So, the door knocks. There's a knock on the door, and of course, it's Little Red Riding Hood, and she's alone. She wonders why she didn't see Lumberjack, but we know why. And, "Come on in, dear." So she goes in, and there's Granny, on the bed, and she's looking kind of strange. And she says, "Granny, why are you looking like that? It looks like you actually look good, Granny. I thought you told me you were feeling under the weather." "I am under the weather, but Granny, I'm looking at you, at least from this distance. Have you shaved today?" And now you can imagine Wolf Major was a bit insulted. "Of course I've shaved. What's the matter?" "Well, actually, Granny, you seem to have less fuzzy hair than normal." Come closer, my dear. My eyes aren't so good." "But Granny, your eyes, I don't understand actually, Granny. You don't wear glasses. You see very well." Just come closer, dear. Stop being such an idiot. Have you brought my care package? Yes, I have, Granny. What did you put in it? Well, let's see now, Granny. I've brought some pasta. And I know that you don't always get enough vegetables and fruit. So I brought some bananas. I brought some fresh figs, Granny. And Granny asked, did you bring the usual? Yeah, I did, Granny. But just so I'll get to it, I brought you some, excuse me, I brought you some cookies, Granny. And I brought you some cheese. It's all wrapped up here. And, of course, Granny, I bought you a bottle of red wine, as you usually want. And, oh, Granny, I brought you something special, actually. I met this guy along the road, and I got a bottle of beer from a guy called the Fat Aussie Bastard. Looks like quite a wolf himself, actually. So, Granny, with all this, you should be feeling really well. Come closer, dear. Let me give you a little kiss, a little peck. But take off that coat first. So she came over, and of course, Granny gave more than a peck. Gave one walk, one really big hit with her paw on the back of Red's head. Red had a pretty hard skull, but nevertheless, she fell down, and just as you can imagine, and this is a fairy tale, just as Wolf Major was getting ready to jump on her and, my goodness, probably eat her, the door opens up, and Lumberjack comes in, and he's wielding his axe, but then he says, "What's going on here? Red, are you..." And no, they weren't. But the wolf, he saw Lumberjack, got up, started to run away, but Lumberjack grabbed him, shaked him a bit, and I guess, you know, this is a kid's show. So he shaked him a bit, he said, "Go away and be a good boy now." And of course, we all know what happens. He went away and he was not a good boy. And so what happened? Well, they pulled Granny out, they made a big party, and of course, this is a fairy tale. They lived happily ever after, and I'm certain that Lumberjack and Riding Red had loads of kids. Well, that was my variant of this very fantastic story. DC signing off. Take care.